Everyone has someone that they label as their best friend. Whether it's someone you've been friends with since you were 5 years old, someone you've been friends with since high school or even college. Me, I was never really one for friends. Growing up in middle school and grade school, I didn't really have a lot of friends. I essentially was a loner. Mostly as a result of really angsty preteen bullying that left me kind of emotionally scarred for the rest of my life. But when I got to high school, I was finally exposed to different types of people, and I was introduced to a group of friends that would honestly affect me for the rest of my life. Well into my young adulthood, well into my 20s, and now in my late 20s, this story kind of goes to show you that although some friendships aren't a lifetime, the time you spend with them can alter the course of your life forever. This is the One With The Fab 5. Going from a predominantly white Catholic school in Roxborough, Manayunk to going to school in Center City, I was in for a real culture shock when I started high school. And for me, I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. I was actually looking forward to it because it was my opportunity to have a fresh start. No one knew any of the lies and the stories that people told about me that caused the years of bullying and unnecessary drama that had plagued my life from the time I was 12 years old. And I finally got the opportunity to really build my own personality. I got to build my own backstory. No one had to know where I came from. No one had to know the things I'd been through. I had an opportunity to kind of start fresh. And when I went to high school, I found 4 of my best friends, people that I had loved and cared about. And because I hadn't had a lot of friends growing up, I didn't necessarily know how to be a good friend. I was scarred. I was damaged. I didn't know how to be a friend to somebody because I never had any real ones. Outside of my siblings and my cousins, I didn't have people to lean on. I didn't have a support system. So going into high school and meeting these people that were well-rounded, that had friendships, that had relationships, that knew who they were, I'm this overweight 14-year-old girl trying to find her way in high school with people that really intimidated her. And to this day, I still remember the day that I met each of my 4 best friends. I can still remember exactly the moments that I introduced myself to them, that we actually became friends. And looking back, I realized that I had always had this incessant need to have people like me. And I was willing to pretend to be any version of a person that these people wanted. I molded myself into what I thought the person needed. For example, one girl that I was friends with, she was very eccentric and loud and fun and goofy. And so when I was around her, I acted the same way because I thought that that was a way for us to kind of, bond and become friends. If I acted like her, then maybe she would feel comfortable enough to be friends with me. Another girl was a lot more conservative and sheltered, but we had the similar interest in TV shows and movies and overall goals for our careers. We both wanted to be on Broadway. We both wanted to be in the movies. We both wanted to be actresses, and we kind of played off of each other in that way, and we were able to really connect in that way. Then the guy of the group, we kind of just bonded because we were both used to being seen and being observed as one type of person. We were able to connect because we both had these personas that people saw us and immediately thought, that's who this person is. This person is this and this. They didn't get a chance to really get to know us, but they kind of just labeled us a certain way, and that was how they treated us. And then lastly, the girl who honestly became my best friend, we honestly became friends because we both kind of had similar struggles. We both had similar mental illness struggles, body image issues, friendship issues, relationship issues, and family issues that kind of bonded us. And with those 4 people, I found my inner circle, the inner circle that I didn't have when I was a kid, the inner circle that I always dreamt about. I always wanted to be in a friend group like on Pretty Little Liars or One Tree Hill or Dawson's Creek and all of those shows that I'd watched growing up that showed high school and my teenage years as finding these people that were going to be a quintessential part of my development as a human being. And I just dreamed of the day that I would have those friendships that would, bring me into my adulthood. And then I got the opportunity to really have that experience in high school. And I was so happy. I was just so enthralled with the idea of having friends and being a part of a group of people that I kind of took advantage of it. I had a lot of mental illness issues as far as body image and relationship and self-esteem that I used these 4 people for my own personal gain in a lot of way. I constantly went to them for help and for guidance and support. And while friends are supposed to be there for you and guide you and help you and be a support to you, they aren't supposed to be your therapists. They aren't supposed to be your shrink or your doctor or your lawyer or your priest. They're supposed to be a friend. And in a lot of ways, I would lean on these people too much to the point where I kind of strained our relationship. But they were my family, and they never said anything to me that kind of made me believe that that's what I was doing. But now as an adult, I can see that that is what I did. After high school, we kind of all went our separate ways out of the 4 of us. 3 of them had gone to the same college and were still very much connected, while the other 2 of us separated and went somewhere different. But we all stayed in touch. When we all came home for breaks, Thanksgiving break, Christmas break, holidays, birthdays, we all still remained very close. We always had meetups and lunch dates, and we all still kind of kept each other in the loop of what was happening. When I was sexually assaulted, when I was in my freshman year of college, like I said in a previous episode, I was able to lean on them. I was able to come home and lean on them for moral and mental support. When I got my first girlfriend, when I had my first heartbreak, when I was dealing with all of these relationship issues, I was able to lean on them. And I was so grateful because I had this non-judgmental group of friends that I was able to really confide in. However, as time went on and we became adults, that non-judgmental part kind of went out the window. And suddenly, because they had also had their own life experiences and were growing into their own, they became a little slightly more judgmental. And it became this issue now, this push and pull of people caring more about how I made them look than rather how I felt. Like the erratic, eccentric girl that I told you about, me and her really connected and bonded as adults when she told me that she had had an abortion after her boyfriend had gotten her pregnant. They'd broken up. She'd gotten an abortion. And she had confided that in me. And I felt like that was really it really hit a nerve with me, because I was like, you really trusted me enough to confide that in me. And you didn't judge me. You didn't think that I wouldn't understand. You came to me because I was someone you trusted. The man in this particular situation, he had struggles with his sexuality, and he confided those issues in me. We were able to go to clubs together and parties together and go out in the scene together as 2 out people, because he felt like I was the one who would understand. When the girl who I considered my best friend was dealing with family issues with her parents divorcing and her father's substance abuse and issues with her mother, she came to me, and I felt like that kind of made me feel like I had a part in this friendship. I always felt like I was always the outsider to their inner group, because they all had relationships prior to meeting me. And lastly, when my little theater buddy moved to New York and wanted to become an actress and literally did the thing that we both said we both wanted to do, I was low-key jealous. But I was also able to look at it and say, you know what, you did the thing that we said we were going to do, and you struggled and you had your issues, and you were able to call me and Skype me and Uvu me, and we were able to talk to each other about the issues that we were both having at the time, and it was like everything was great. I had struggled with my relationships and my issues over the years, but I knew I could always go to them. Then recently, when I became involved with my current wife, things kind of took a downward spiral. And I need to take some of the blame in why we're no longer friends. These people that had seen me through my rape and my grandmother's passing and my parents' divorce and my inner struggles with giving up acting and writing, which was something that I'd always loved. These people that had seen me from this overweight, sad, depressed teenage girl to this woman who was more confident. They had seen me through all stages of my life. And at 25, after 10 years of being friends, it all ended. And I was kind of left with this internal struggle that I had lost the only people that I'd considered my friends. Like, sure, I'd had work friends and people that I hung out with in my neighborhood, because none of these people in this group of mine, other than my male friend, actually drank or smoked or went out to bars or clubs and things like that. So we didn't really get a chance to bond on that level. So naturally, I had other friends that I went to bars with and clubs with and partied with. But it was a different type of relationship. Like, these guys were my home base. These guys were my family. They were like my siblings. And when I was at my happiest, when I'd found the woman that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, when I had become a step parent to these two beautiful little boys, when I had moved out of my parents' house, when I had built a life for myself, I had my dream job and everything was going so great for me, I looked to them for friendship and for love, and it was like nothing. I was exiled. And I thought, naturally, the victim mentality that a lot of people struggle with, including myself, I thought that they were doing this to me. Not that I had used them and taken advantage of them and made them feel like I didn't actually care for them as people, but rather I used them as sounding boards and therapists and priests and diaries, and not as people. That now at 20 something years old, they were tired. They were tired of me constantly talking about me. They were tired about me coming to them about issues about me. And they just decided they were done. That our friendship that I thought was going to last well into my 30s, well into my 40s, people I thought were going to be in my wedding with me, to look back at pictures and realize that they weren't in my wedding party. They weren't there. When I got married, my best friend wasn't my bridesmaid. And the fact that these people that I had pictured being at my wedding reception and people that I thought were going to be there when I had my first kid, to not have that anymore, it was hard. And I had to admit my own fault in that friendship falling apart. And sometimes that's the hardest thing with being an adult, is you look back at your time and your situations and you realize that you had a huge part in why something didn't work. And the reason why my friendship with these 4 people didn't work wasn't because of anything they did. Although a lot of my friends and my exes will tell you differently. The reason why this friendship didn't last was because I had been selfish. I mean, I can understand if someone drained you so much mentally and emotionally over the years and you just can't deal with it. Like, yes, you're proud to watch them from a distance and be proud of all they've accomplished. And they do. They comment on Instagram posts and Facebook posts. They've promoted this podcast. They've reached out when I got married, and when I recently lost someone in my family, they've reached out with condolences. But our overall connection, that family bond, is gone, and it's damaged because of shit I did. Not because of anything that happened on their end. Do I sometimes wish that we could start over and we could rebuild the friendship that honestly was the most important relationship in my life up until I met my wife? Absolutely. Do I sometimes look at their Instagram stories when they're all together and wish that I was still a part of that group, that family unit? Of course I do. Do I sometimes regret not being whole enough as a teenager and young adult to be a better friend to them? Every day. But at the end of the day, you can't change what happened. all you can do is do better in the future. And on some level, do I sometimes wonder if we could ever get back to that? Become friends again as adults? Sometimes I hope. Sometimes I genuinely miss that ability to not see or speak to people for like months on end, but when you pick up the phone or see each other in person, it's like nothing's ever changed. But things are different now, and there's this huge divide in our unit, and I'm an outsider, and it's almost like my whole friendship understanding went full circle. I came in to our friendship as this broken person that had nobody and didn't understand what a true friend was, and now as an adult, I'm kind of in the same circle. I'm alone, and I have my wife and my children, and I'm so fulfilled in that regard. But that little part of me is still that scared teenage girl that just wants people to like her and wants to know what she did wrong. And I guess that's one of the downsides of still dealing with your shit, is realizing what you could have done better and what you should have done better. And knowing that even though you can't make it better, you did all you could. And if any of you are listening to this, because I know some of you promote this, if any one of the four of you are listening to this, I genuinely love all of you. And the 10, almost 11 years that we had as a family together were some of the most memorable, genuine moments of my entire life. And I miss you all like crazy. But I understand that sometimes you just need to distance yourself and regain some notion of who you are as an individual. But I'm grateful that you guys were able to be in my life in any perspective, because I was lost before I met you. And your friendship, your love, your support, it made me a better person. It's part of the reason why I have the confidence to get on here every week and tell horror stories of my past relationships and sexual antics, because you guys gave me that confidence. And no matter what, even though we may not speak or see each other, I'm always going to love you. And I'm always going to have respect for you and all that you guys do. Whether it's Instagram, social media work, performing, directing, writing, acting, anything you guys do, I'm always support it in any way that I can, because if it wasn't for you guys, I might not have made it to 25. And I give you guys credit for those 10 years of my life, because you guys honestly kept me alive. But I guess sometimes the people that keep you alive are also the people that teach you that it's okay to move on. And if we never reconnect, if we never become friends again, I'll know that if nothing else, I'll have the stories that we had to tell my kids and my grandkids of the manhunts and the movie trips and the parties we went to, the clubs we went to, the stuff we did together, the memories. And if nothing else, I'll be able to teach my kids and my grandkids what a real friend looks like. And it's because of the four of you that I'm able to do that. So with all that, I leave y'all with this. Sometimes friendship isn't measured in years known or years together, but rather the most memorable times that you can ever have, if you can think about two people that you shared those moments with, or in my case, four. Those are the friendships that mean the most.